Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Tim Alston Show. It is your podcast for Monday that does several things. Number one, what we will do is first welcome you. Happy Monday. Happy end of the month of April. Oh, this is going to be exciting. Oh, yeah, we've got some things to talk about today. I'm glad you're here. I'm Tim Alston. And again, this is the Monday podcast, the Tim Alston Show. I also have one on Thursday that is more specific, and it is called the 10 Commandments of Leadership. The 10 Commandments of Leadership. Both shows have the same two objectives, and those two objectives are number one, we aim to educate, to equip, and to empower emerging leaders with God thought leadership. And also, what we try to do and what we plan to do is to present current events and newsmakers in the light of best practices from the Bible. I'm glad that you're with us today. Today, as you know, is Monday, April 28th, 2025. We're at day number 98 of the Trump-Musk co-presidency, if we must say. And first of all, I want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate you and us for answered prayers. Answered prayers for the resistance victories that we're already seeing and the growing movement that's taking shape nationwide. But let me be very clear about this. It ain't over. Let me say that again. It ain't over. This is not a time to relax. It is a time to watch. It is a time to protest. And it is a time to organize even more strategically. Just last week, for example, according to the Chronicle of Higher Education webinar, some 416 college and university presidents signed a mutual defense pact committing their institutions to resist the Trump-Musk policies threatening education funding and international students enrolling in their schools. Now, despite Trump's claims of victories in tariff negotiations, the truth is clear. His bluffs are being called. Just ask China. His so-called trade wins are either exaggerated or they're hollow. Protests are happening all over the country daily, even in deep red states. National polls, including Fox News, show that his approval numbers are sinking. Even Republican leaders are starting to publicly question his actions. Now, if these first 100 days are Trump's leadership report card, it would say that he's flunking immigration, the economy, and global democracy, and flunking them badly. And why this constant flip-flopping of the Trump-Musk plans? Because their decisions are based upon popularity polls, not principles or best practices. But the good news is that the groundswell of opposition across every sector in our society is strong and it's growing. We are watching God answering prayers, and mobilizing people like never before. Just the other day, as my wife pointed out to me from her Bible study, she had me turn to Ezekiel 22:4, which said, "You have brought your days to a close, and the end of your years have come. Therefore, I will make you an object of scorn to the nations and a laughingstock to all countries." Sound familiar? Trump seems like a spoiled kid given the levers of power without any instructions. He's violating laws, he's ignoring norms, and he's reveling in this negative attention. He doesn't care if the news is good or bad as long as his name is mentioned. Last Saturday, for example, when Trump attended Pope Francis' funeral in the Vatican, one can only imagine world leaders smiling in his face but laughing behind his back at his incompetence. But folks, we will win. And not because of politics, but because evil plans always eventually collapse under their own weight, especially when people of conscience like us rise up. The evangelist Vance Havner said best, "Christians, like snowflakes, are frail, but when they stick together, we can stop traffic." Today, we're witnessing, for example, universities, businesses, local governments, grassroots activists. They're the modern day snowflakes. They're banding together as never before. Let me caution you, victory celebrations can be dangerous if we let down our guard. Victory celebrations can be dangerous if we let down our guard. In sports, for example, it's rare for champions to repeat. Why? Because victories often lead to complacency. NBA legend Pat Riley called it the disease of me, the loss of a focus after success. Similarly, NFL coach, the legendary Don Shula, instituted what he called the 24-hour rule. Win or lose, celebrate and mourn for only 24 hours, and then it's time to move on to the next challenge. Apply that here. Celebrate the protests that have forced Trump to flip-flop. Celebrate the victories on immigration and education and trade. Celebrate the resistance building across the country. But after 24 hours, get back to work, because the Trump-Musk administration isn't defeated yet. They've only just been exposed. Not defeated, only exposed. We must run sprint after sprint, stacking up victories in education, in tariffs, and voting rights and beyond, until we transform this momentum into a lasting marathon-level change. Remember, followers create leaders. We are the strength behind the visible leadership iceberg. Don't trust any nouns. Don't put your trust in people, places, and things. Only put your trust in God, the only true source of strength and victory for us. And as our currency reminds us, in God we trust, not in political parties, not in temporary victories, only in the steady, sovereign hand of God. So here's today's final call to you. Celebrate today's victories, but not longer than 24 hours. Then roll up your sleeves, tighten your shoelaces, and get ready for the next sprint toward the marathon victory. We must preserve freedom. We must defend the Constitution. Ultimately, dump Trump. Stay strong. Stay prayerful. Stay active. We will win, because God's justice is always stronger than man's foolishness. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. I hope that you've enjoyed these few moments that we've been able to spend together. I hope that you've been able to enjoy the messages that I've tried to share with you. I hope that you understand the protests that are happening all over the country. They're happening in little places and with people that do not have a history of protesting. But the idiocy and the arrogance of what is happening out of Washington is simply ridiculous. I mean, we'll look at the case. Just look at the case of the Maryland resident, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He was wrongfully detained, shipped to El Salvador, to the notorious prisons down there. The administration in Washington admitted they made an error, but they're making no effort to bring him back. That's foolishness. That's foolishness. It doesn't make any kind of sense. And we've got an administration that just wants to not abide by any rules. Once again, we've got a president, two presidents. They're like spoiled little kids that have always had their way. They've never had to, never been told no. They've never had to conform to any policies or any rules. And so they're doing whatever they want to do, but they will not win. We will not allow, because we'll keep the fight up. We'll keep the protest up. We'll keep going to the town hall meetings. We'll keep educating our children. We'll keep the fire on. What I loved so much from, I think it was back in the 1980s, in South Africa, the slogan there was, keep the pressure on. Keep the pressure on. Because what was happening, this was the apartheid system that they were seeking to dismantle. It did not seem like it was going to be successful in any way, but they kept the pressure on. And as we know, the old expression goes, it is the steady drip that breaks the rock. The steady drip that breaks the rock. Through painful experiences, imprisonments, and death, sooner or later, that apartheid system was broken. And what I'll never forget is seeing, for example, in 1995, the lines of people, predominantly Black people, which is the 95% of the population, standing in long lines, standing in queues, if it were, long, winding lines, who kept the pressure on. They refused to be disallowed from voting. And we're going through voter suppression times right now. We refuse to be told that we can't vote, that we cannot exercise our franchise. And we will win if we keep the pressure on. Even those in his party are opposed to what he's doing. But we must keep the pressure on. We must remember that even after the victories that we celebrate, we must keep the pressure on. We must remember, and it's truth, watch sports. You cannot often repeat, you do not cannot, you often do not repeat as champions because you get caught up in celebrating and forgetting what it was that made you what we are. We do need to celebrate. Celebrate the victories that are happening in the courts. Celebrate the victories that are happening out in the streets. Celebrate the victories that are happening in our town hall meetings. But remember that while we are celebrating, those who oppose us are working even harder to defeat us, and they will not win. We will not let them win. So let's celebrate the flip-flops from the Trump-Musk co-presidency, but let's keep fighting. Thank you. May God bless you in your efforts, and remember that we've got to keep the pressure on, keep fighting, and keep pushing for higher ground for our children and our children's children, and even for us. Thank you, and if you enjoyed what you've heard, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember the words of the American Episcopal clergyman from the 1900s, Philip Brooks, when he said, "Don't ask for an easier life, ask to become a stronger person. Don't ask for a task equal to your power. Instead, ask for power equal to your task. And when your work is done, your work will not be the miracle. You will be the miracle." Thank you. We'll see you next time on Thursday for the 10 Commandments of Leadership. Thank you. Goodbye. Keep up the fight.